Kidmissing TV. Okay, we're going to talk about a case that had its 75th anniversary yesterday. Now, before we get there, and it's quite an interesting case, long one too. Remember, I already started this video once and it got too long, so I'm going to try to shrink it a little. What was I going to say? Oh, I am going to, over the next few days before my surgery, try to write April and get it filmed so that it'll already be in the can. I also have all of next week, actually, after my surgery, to work on it. So, just wanted to let you know that I plan on doing that now that I have extra cards to do it on. And I'll do the same thing for May because I have my series of shots in my knee in May. So, anyway. Happy birthday to my cousin David. We're 5 months apart. His birthday is today and mine is in August. This case took place yesterday in 1950. So we're in the 75th anniversary of the case of Janet Christman. She was 13 years old from Columbia, Missouri. She was babysitting for a couple in the outskirts of town in a more rural area. He had given her a primer on loading and unloading his gun, his rifle. He put it right by the front door for her, and a basic primer on how to use it. As I stated when I first did this, I think he probably thought that furry predators might have been more of a danger than human ones. Boy, did that not turn out to be the case. And there were several other crimes. There was a serial intimate offender. She was the oldest of 3 children in her family. Her parents were Charles and Lula Christman. They owned a cafe that they lived above called Ernie's Cafe and Steakhouse. So, she was 13 years old. She was in the 8th grade. She played piano in the choir. She was intelligent, independent, worked really hard for the things she wanted. This particular night, she decided to babysit instead of go to a school dance because she was trying to earn money for an outfit that she wanted for Easter. And she used to babysit for 2 families, the Romacks and the Muellers. That night, she was babysitting for the Romacks. They had just moved into their more secluded house from another house in the area. And they had a 3-year-old. They were getting ready for their second child to be born. And with everything going on, they needed a break. They just needed to get out as a couple. Hey guys. You're seeing me on my computer because the case cut off partway through. So I have to finish the case. Now, I was talking about how the parents needed to go out. They needed a break because they were going to have their second child and they had just moved into their more rural home. And, well, when they got home, they found the grisly sight of their babysitter lying on their shag carpet in the living room in a puddle of her own blood. She had been assaulted in an intimate manner. She had the cord from the family's iron that had been cut off with scissors around her neck. She had several puncture wounds on her body, which they say came from a mechanical pencil. Because the prime suspect used a mechanical pencil in his work and often carried it with him. First of all, a mechanical pencil wouldn't do much damage because it would break. They'd have to be very tiny punctures, and where's all that blood coming from? The blunt force to her head? So no, I don't believe it was necessarily a mechanical pencil. And anyway, sorry, I itch. Anyway, and I don't know whether this man did it or not. They were going to impanel a grand jury, even though he passed the polygraph. But they never charged him. His name was Mueller. He was actually at the card game with the other couple. She often babysat for him and his wife as well. And that's not unusual. Girls will babysit for several couples that know each other because that's how they get the jobs. Is by she babysat for me, she did a great job. Do you need a babysitter? Here's her number, that kind of a thing. So I don't know whether Mueller did it or he didn't. But the whole mechanical pencil stabbing her thing makes no sense to me. The year before, actually just several months before, because this happened in March of 1950, around Halloween of 1949, a 20-year-old girl was killed in almost exactly the same manner, including the intimate assault, everything. An extension cord around her neck. And her mother found her in the morning when she came home from taking care of an elderly couple that lived down the street. She spent the night with them. The dad was away working, and the daughter was still living at home. And they had devised a plan, because they were only down the street from each other, they could see the houses, that if you need something, to lift the shade, turn on the light, and call me. Well, the shade was up, the light was on, but nobody called her, so she just didn't think anything was seriously wrong until she came home to the grisly scene of her daughter in the very same way that, and this was November 9th, 1949, in the very same way that Janet would be found in March of 1950. A handicapped man who drove the garbage truck, and there's nothing wrong with that, by the way, was accused of killing his wife. He was convicted based on a coerced confession, which they also coerced a confession out of him in the case of Janet Christmas. He didn't do either, and they kind of know this now, but they murdered him in the gas chamber. And yes, it's murder. Let me explain. And I learned this, I don't know if it was after Bundy's execution or Casey's, someone's, that when you're executed by the state, the manner of death on your death certificate is murder. It's homicide. then it will say cause, gas chamber, asphyxiation, gas chamber, or, poisoning, lethal injection, or electric shock, electric chair, whatever the case may be. But it's listed as homicide. In my personal opinion, that tells you all you need to know about the death penalty. No, thank you. Anyway, 2 jurisdictions were at war over this case: the City of Columbia and Boone County. It was Boone County's case because they lived 100 yards outside of the city limits, and therefore they lived in county jurisdiction. Is that anyway? Ow. Fingernail. But both showed up at the scene. Both were trying to take over. Both had different ideas of how the killer got in. She let him in because possibly she recognized him. We could do DNA today and figure it out. I'm sure they have evidence in the case still sitting somewhere, and maybe even samples from the intimate assault. I call it that because you can't say the R word on YouTube, and I don't like to say SA, just letters, so I just call it intimate assault. But there was definitely a serial offender, at least a serial rapist around town, because they know that a couple was kidnapped at a Lover's Lane, a couple from the college. This was where the University of Missouri was, and the county seat of Boone County. The boyfriend was tied up, the girl was taken away and intimately assaulted. Another girl, a 16-year-old, was babysitting, and someone came in and intimately assaulted her. They had a lot of peeping going on. They did manage to arrest one peeper, but he wasn't a killer, he was a peeper. But yeah, everything was escalating from peepings to, intimate assaults and all different things. And it finally escalated to homicide. Twice. So, like I said, and they could compare the 2 cases if they have genetic material from both of the homicides. They could compare them to each other to see if they were, in fact, assaulted and killed by the same person. Excuse me. So yeah. I personally am not sure about Mueller. Like I said, the whole thing with the mechanical pencil doesn't make sense. First of all, it wouldn't leave deep wounds, and there certainly wouldn't be blood everywhere. And it would break off. You would have, broken pieces of graphite in the wounds, if not in the room somewhere. It would be fairly obvious, and like I said, there would be blood. More likely to be a penknife. If they were small puncture wounds. That's just my opinion. Please let me know what you think. And I'm so sorry that the video got cut off. I think I ran out of space on the card. I don't know why it didn't tell me that, but that's all I can think that must have happened. So, this is going to get attached onto the end, and I know it's going to be weird, and I apologize for that. God bless you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for 451 subscribers. That is amazing. And if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed yet, please do. We do videos like this. I do videos like this 3 days a week, plus extras. So, such as site updates or channel updates. Sometimes I'll do a recent roundup. I do updates once a month, sometimes more often if I need to. I do a preview once a month of the upcoming month. So yeah, definitely join me. God bless you, and I will see you Friday. Bye, guys.